The alarm doesn't go off anymore. That's the first thing you notice when you retire. The silence at 6 in the morning. No jarring beep, beep, beep pulling you from whatever dream you were having. No rush to shower, dress, grab coffee, beat traffic. No Monday through Friday rhythm that's governed your life for 43 years. Just silence. And the ceiling. I stare at it now, most mornings. This ceiling I've been looking at for 30 years, but never really seen. There's a water stain in the corner, shaped like a bird maybe, or a cloud. When did that get there? Was it always there, and I was just too busy rushing through my life to notice? My name is Walter. I'm 75 years old. I've been retired for 8 years, 3 months, and 16 days. Not that I'm counting. I spent my entire working life dreaming about this, about retirement, about the day I could finally stop rushing, stop stressing, stop answering to bosses and deadlines and that constant grinding pressure of having to be somewhere, do something, produce results. Freedom, I called it. Every Sunday evening, when that dread would settle into my chest, that heavy, familiar feeling that the weekend was ending and Monday was coming, I'd tell myself, just a few more years, just hang on. Retirement is waiting. It became my mantra, my prayer, my promise to myself. Just make it to retirement and everything will be better. Well, I made it. And here's what nobody tells you about freedom. Sometimes it looks an awful lot like loneliness, wearing a disguise. I worked at Morrison & Associates for 43 years. Accounting firm. Mid-sized. Nothing glamorous. We handled books for small businesses, estates, the occasional audit. I started there right out of college, 22 years old, fresh degree, eager to prove myself. They hired me as a junior accountant, $7.50 an hour. By the time I retired, I was a senior partner, 6 figures, corner office, my name on the letterhead. I was proud of that, proud of climbing the ladder, proud of the salary increases and the promotions and the respect that came with tenure, proud that I'd stuck it out when so many others had left for greener pastures or different careers or early retirement. I was the steady one, the reliable one, the one who showed up every single day, rain or shine, sick or healthy, whether I wanted to or not. And I told myself that dedication would pay off, that all those years of sacrifice would be worth it when I finally reached retirement, when I could finally rest. My last day was a Friday in June. They threw me a party in the conference room. Cake from the bakery down the street. Chocolate, my favorite, though I don't remember ever telling anyone that was my favorite. Must have been a lucky guess. There were speeches. Jim Morrison, the founder's grandson, said some nice things about my loyalty and dedication. Sarah from payroll cried a little. Everyone signed a card. One of those giant ones that takes up half a desk. Congratulations, it said on the front, with a cartoon of a man in a hammock holding a drink with an umbrella in it. Inside, they'd written messages. You'll be missed. Enjoy every minute. Live it up, Bob. Finally time to relax. I smiled and nodded and shook hands and accepted their well wishes. But inside, I felt something strange, something I wasn't expecting. Terror. Pure, cold, gripping terror. Because standing there holding that ridiculous card, surrounded by people I'd worked with for decades, it suddenly hit me. I had no idea who I was without this place, but I pushed that feeling down. Told myself it was just nerves. Told myself that every retiree probably feels this way at first. Told myself I'd adjust. I'd spent 43 years waiting for this day. I was going to enjoy it. The first week was wonderful. I slept in. Actually slept in until 8, sometimes 9 in the morning. I made elaborate breakfasts, omelets, pancakes, the full spread. Things I never had time for when I was working. I sat on the back porch and read the newspaper cover to cover, every section, even the parts I never cared about before, like arts and entertainment and home and garden. I had time. Glorious, endless time. I went to the hardware store on a Tuesday afternoon and just browsed. No list, no project. Just walking around, looking at tools and paint samples and lawn equipment. The store was nearly empty. Just me and the employees and a couple of other retired guys who probably had the same idea. Freedom, I thought. This is freedom. I went to the movies on a Wednesday morning, 10:30 showing, matinee prices. The theater was empty except for me and one other person. I sat dead center, put my feet up, ate an entire bucket of popcorn by myself. I went to the library and checked out books I'd always meant to read but never had time for. Thick books, classic books, books people reference in conversation, and you nod like you've read them, but you haven't. I had a routine of sorts. Coffee on the porch, newspaper, maybe some yard work if the weather was nice, lunch at home, afternoon reading or TV or a walk around the neighborhood, dinner, more TV, bed. Simple, peaceful, exactly what I'd dreamed about. It lasted about 3 weeks. Week 4, something shifted. I woke up one morning, still no alarm, still staring at that ceiling, and thought, what am I going to do today? Not in an excited way, not like the world was full of possibilities, more like, what am I supposed to do with all these hours? The porch wasn't as pleasant. The newspaper felt repetitive. The same stories, different day, different crisis, same pattern. After a while, you realize that news is just the same themes playing on repeat. The hardware store lost its appeal. Browsing is only fun a few times before it just becomes wandering with no purpose. The movies started to feel lonely. Sitting in that empty theater, the only sound the munching of my own popcorn, watching stories about other people's lives while mine felt like it had paused. The books were harder to focus on. My mind would wander. I'd read a whole page and realize I hadn't retained a single word. The days started to blur together. Monday felt like Thursday. Saturday felt like Tuesday. Without the structure of work, without the calendar dictating my life, time became this shapeless thing. Stretchy and weird, and somehow both too fast and too slow. I'd look at the clock, and it would be 10 in the morning, and I'd think, that's it? Just 10? Then I'd look again, and it would be 4 in the afternoon, and I'd think, where did the day go? My wife's name was Helen. Was, not is. She died 6 years before I retired. Cancer, ovarian. By the time they caught it, it had spread. She fought for 18 months. Then she was gone. I threw myself into work after that. Worked longer hours, took on more clients, volunteered for projects nobody else wanted. It was easier than going home to an empty house. Easier than sitting with the grief and the silence and the constant reminder that the person who made life make sense wasn't there anymore. My colleagues were sympathetic. Take all the time you need, they said after the funeral. But I was back at the office 3 days later. Because what was I going to do at home? Sit in her chair, look at her things, feel the weight of her absence in every room? No. Work was better. Work was distraction. Work gave me purpose. Helen and I had plans for retirement. We were going to travel, see Europe, drive across the country, visit national parks and small towns and all those places we'd bookmarked in magazines over the years. We were going to take cooking classes together, learn to make pasta from scratch, perfect our knife skills, host dinner parties. We were going to sleep in and stay up late and do all those spontaneous things you can't do when you're beholden to a work schedule. She had a list, an actual written list in a notebook she kept by her bedside. Retirement dreams she'd written at the top in her careful handwriting. After she died, I found that notebook, sat on our bed and read through every item, every dream she'd had for the life we were supposed to share. I couldn't throw it away, couldn't read it again, either. So I put it in her nightstand drawer and left it there. It's still there now, 8 years into my retirement, 8 years of not opening that drawer. Because what's the point of dreams when you're the only one left to dream them? I tried to make friends. That sounds pathetic, doesn't it? A 75-year-old man trying to make friends, like he's the new kid at school. But that's what retirement is, in a way. You leave behind the built-in social structure of work, the colleagues you saw every day, the meetings and lunches and water cooler conversations. You leave all that, and suddenly you realize, those weren't really your friends. They were your coworkers, and without work as the connecting tissue, there's nothing left. So I tried. I joined the community center. They have programs for seniors, exercise classes and hobby groups and social events. I signed up for woodworking. Figured I'd learn something practical, maybe build some furniture for the house. The instructor was younger than my son. Enthusiastic in that way young people are when they're teaching older folks. Patient but slightly condescending, like we might break if he talks too fast. The other students were all retirees too. Nice enough. We'd stand around our workbenches, sanding and sawing and making small talk. Beautiful weather today. Did you catch the game last night? My grandson's graduating this spring. Surface stuff, polite stuff. The kind of conversation that fills time but doesn't actually connect people. I went for 6 weeks. Made a birdhouse and a small shelf. Then I stopped going. Nobody called to ask why. I tried the library book club. First Tuesday of every month. They were reading literary fiction, the kind of books that win awards and get discussed in think pieces. I showed up to the first meeting with my copy, annotated and everything. Sat in the circle of chairs. Listened to people share their thoughts. I found the protagonist's journey to be deeply moving. The symbolism of the water imagery throughout really resonated with me. I think the author was making a statement about modern isolation. When it was my turn to share, I said I thought it was well written, but kind of slow. They smiled, nodded, moved on. I went to 2 more meetings, then stopped. Nobody noticed. The thing about work, the thing I never appreciated until it was gone, is that it gives you identity. For 43 years, when someone asked what I did, I had an answer. I'm an accountant. I work at Morrison & Associates. I'm a senior partner. That meant something. It gave me a place in the world, a role, a purpose. Now when people ask what I do, I say, I'm retired. And they smile and say, oh, how wonderful. You must be enjoying all that free time. And I smile back and say, yes. Yes, it's great. But inside, I'm thinking free time for what? To do what? To be what? Without work, I'm not an accountant. I'm not a senior partner. I'm not a professional anything. I'm just Walter, an old man with too much time and not enough to fill it with. My son, David, calls every Sunday, like clockwork. 6 in the evening. He's good about that. Reliable. Got that from me, I suppose. Hey, Dad, how are you? Good, good. How about you? Busy. Work's been crazy. Kids have a million activities. You know how it is. I do, but I don't. Not anymore. I don't know what busy feels like. I don't know what it's like to juggle work and family and obligations. I don't have any of that. You keeping busy? He asks. Oh yeah, staying active. You know. Good, that's good. You should come visit sometime. The kids would love to see you. I will, soon, but I won't. Because visiting means being in the way. Means sitting in their living room while David works in his home office and his wife, Jennifer, manages the kids. Means being the obligation they check off their list. We saw Grandpa, did our duty. I don't want to be a duty. So I say I'll visit soon, and David says, that sounds great, and we talk for 10 more minutes about nothing important, and then we hang up. And the house is quiet again, every Sunday, 6 o'clock. It's the highlight of my week. How pathetic is that? There's a diner 2 blocks from my house, Mel's Place. Been there for 30 years. Red vinyl booths, black and white checkered floor, old jukebox in the corner that still plays if you put quarters in. I started going there about a year into retirement. Breakfast, mostly. Sometimes lunch. It's something to do. Somewhere to go. Somewhere with people and noise and the smell of coffee and bacon. I always sit in the same booth. Back corner, facing the door. The waitress, her name tag says Donna, knows my order by heart now. The usual, honey. Please. 2 eggs over easy. Bacon. Wheat toast. Coffee. Black. She doesn't make small talk beyond that. I appreciate it. She's busy. I'm just another customer. Another plate to deliver. Another check to drop off. But sometimes when the diner's not too crowded, she'll pause by my table. How are you doing today, Mr. Mitchell? Good. Good. And you? Oh, you know. Same old, same old. Feet are killing me, but that's the job. She smiles. I smile back. And then she's off to refill someone else's coffee. Those 30-second interactions are sometimes the only meaningful human contact I have all week. Outside of David's Sunday phone call. Outside of brief exchanges with cashiers and bank tellers and the mailman who waves from his truck. 30 seconds of how are you doing from a waitress who doesn't actually want a real answer. And I cling to it. Because it's something. Because it reminds me I'm still here. Still visible. Still a person who exists in the world, even if just as a regular customer who orders the same breakfast every time. I watch a lot of television, more than I ever did when I was working, more than is probably healthy. Morning shows, game shows, soap operas, court TV, news. Reruns of shows I watched 30 years ago, cable documentaries about World War II and ancient civilizations and true crime. It fills the hours, provides noise, creates the illusion of company. Sometimes I'll watch an entire series in a week. 10 seasons, however many episodes. I'll get invested in the characters. Care about their storylines. Feel something when they succeed or fail or fall in love or die. And then the series ends. The credits roll, and I'm back to reality. Back to my living room. Back to the silence. Helen used to tease me about my TV habits. Come on, she'd say, grabbing the remote. Let's do something. Go for a walk. Work on the garden. Anything but sitting in front of this screen. And I'd grumble, but I'd get up. Because she was right. Because life was happening outside that screen. Because we had things to do together. Now I could watch TV for 12 hours straight and nobody would say a word. Nobody would grab the remote. Nobody would suggest a walk. So I watch, and watch, and watch, and tell myself it's relaxing. It's retirement. It's the freedom I worked 43 years to earn. I tried volunteering. Everyone says that's what retirees should do. Give back, stay active, find purpose through service. So I went to the local elementary school. They needed reading volunteers, people to sit with kids one-on-one and help them practice. The coordinator was thrilled. We can always use more volunteers, especially men. The kids need positive male role models. I went through the background check, attended the orientation, got my volunteer badge. They paired me with a second grader named Marcus. Sweet kid, struggled with reading. Got frustrated easily, would rather draw pictures than sound out words. We met twice a week for 3 months. I'd sit with him at a small table in the library corner. We'd work through simple books. Cat in the Hat, Green Eggs and Ham, books my own son read decades ago. Marcus would try. He'd really try. But reading didn't come easy to him. And I could see it in his face, that look kids get when they feel stupid. When they're comparing themselves to their classmates and coming up short. I tried to encourage him. You're doing great. It just takes practice. Everyone learns at their own pace. But I don't think he believed me. One day, Marcus's teacher pulled me aside. I just wanted to say thank you. Marcus looks forward to your sessions. He told me, "You remind him of his grandfather." I smiled, said it was my pleasure, said Marcus was a good kid, but inside I felt hollow. Because Marcus's grandfather was probably someone important to him, someone meaningful, someone who existed in his life beyond 30-minute reading sessions twice a week. I wasn't that. I was just a volunteer, a placeholder, a warm body filling a need. And when the school year ended, Marcus moved on to third grade. Got a different reading volunteer. Probably forgot about me within a month. I didn't go back the next year. My doctor says I'm healthy. For a man your age, you're doing great, he says at every checkup. Blood pressure's good. Cholesterol's under control. Heart's strong. Keep doing what you're doing. What I'm doing is nothing. That's what's so funny. I'm not exercising beyond the occasional walk. I'm not eating particularly well. I'm not challenging myself physically or mentally. I'm just existing, taking up space, breathing in and out, waiting for time to pass. And apparently, that's enough to keep the body going. The body, yes, but what about everything else? Nobody talks about the mental health of retirement, the emotional toll of suddenly having no purpose, no structure, no reason to get out of bed beyond the fact that you're awake. Nobody talks about the loneliness, the way days blur together until you can't remember if something happened yesterday or last week, the way you can go entire days without speaking to another human being. Nobody talks about the fact that retirement, this thing we all work toward, this promised land of leisure and freedom, can sometimes feel like being put out to pasture. Like society saying, "Thanks for your service. You can stop now. You're not needed anymore." I never thought I'd miss work, but I do. I miss the routine, the purpose, a feeling of being needed, even if it was just to reconcile someone's books or file their taxes. I miss having somewhere to be, something to do that mattered to someone other than me. I miss the identity, the answer to "what do you do" that meant something. I miss feeling. There's a park near my house. Small park, nothing fancy. Playground on one end, open field in the middle, walking path around the perimeter, benches under trees. I go there sometimes in the afternoon, sit on one of those benches, watch people, young mothers with strollers, toddlers stumbling across the grass, older kids on the playground equipment, teenagers cutting through on their way home from school. Everyone's got somewhere to be, something to do, someone waiting for them. They're all moving through their lives, purpose in their steps, destination in mind, and I'm sitting on a bench, watching, existing in the margins of everyone else's story. Sometimes I imagine what I'd say if someone sat down next to me, if someone struck up a conversation. I'd tell them about Helen, about our 46 years together, about how she made everything make sense. I'd tell them about David, about how proud I am of him, even though we don't talk much beyond those Sunday calls, about how he built a good life, a full life. I'd tell them about Morrison and Associates, about starting there at 22 and leaving at 67, about the work I did and the people I knew and the career I built. I'd tell them that I thought retirement would be the reward for all those years of hard work, that I thought freedom would feel light, liberating, joyful. And I'd tell them the truth, that freedom without purpose is just emptiness wearing a prettier name, that peace without connection is just loneliness pretending to be contentment, that I spent my entire life waiting for this, and now that I'm here, I'd give anything to go back. That peace without connection is just loneliness pretending to be contentment, that I spent my entire life waiting for this, and now that I'm here, I'd give anything to go back, to have the alarm go off at 6 in the morning, to have somewhere to be, to have something to do that matters. But nobody sits down next to me. People walk past, kids play, life happens, and I sit on my bench, watching, waiting, wondering how I got here. Last week I did something I haven't done in years. I drove past Morrison and Associates. It's still there, same building, same parking lot, Same sign out front, though they've redesigned it. More modern now. Sleeker. I slowed down as I passed, looked at the windows of my old office. Someone else sits there now. Someone else is the senior partner. Someone else is living the life I lived for 43 years, and they have no idea I exist. No idea that I'm the one who built half the client relationships, who developed the systems they probably still use, who put in decades of work that they're now benefiting from. I'm a ghost, a name on old files they've probably archived or digitized or thrown away. I kept driving, didn't stop, didn't go in. What would I say? Hi, I used to work here, just wanted to see the place. They'd smile politely, maybe recognize my name, maybe not. Either way, I'd be a curiosity, a relic from the past, someone to humor for a few minutes before getting back to the actual work. So I kept driving, went home, made a sandwich, watched television, and told myself it was fine, that looking back doesn't help anything, that I need to focus on the present, on this life I have now, this quiet, empty, endless present. I think about death sometimes, not in a morbid way. Or maybe it is morbid. I don't know. But I think about it. Wonder when it'll come. How it'll come. If it'll hurt. If I'll see it coming, or if it'll be sudden. I think about who'll find me. Probably David. Probably after a few days when I don't answer his Sunday call. He'll drive over, use his key, find me in my chair or my bed, or maybe on the kitchen floor if I fall. I wonder what he'll think. If he'll feel guilty for not visiting more. If he'll wish we'd talked more, said more, been more to each other than weekly phone calls and polite updates. Or if he'll just feel relief. Relief that the obligation is over. That he no longer has to call every Sunday and ask how I'm doing and pretend to believe when I say I'm fine. I don't want to die, but I'm not sure I want to keep living like this either. 75 years old, healthy body, empty days. All this time and nothing to fill it with. All this freedom and nowhere to go. All this peace and nobody to share it with. This is what I waited for. This is what I prayed for. This is the reward for 43 years of dedication and hard work and delayed gratification. And it's hollow. It's so hollow. This morning, I woke up at 6. No alarm, just habit. 43 years of 6 o'clock wake-ups don't disappear just because you retire. I lay there for a while, staring at that ceiling, that water stain that looks like a bird or a cloud, and I thought, what's the point of today? Not in a suicidal way, just honest. What is the actual point of getting out of bed? What am I going to do that matters? What difference does it make if I stay here or get up or even exist at all? Then I thought about Helen, about what she'd say if she were here, if she could see me like this. She'd tell me to stop feeling sorry for myself. She'd tell me that life is what you make it, that retirement isn't the problem, my mindset is. She'd tell me to call David more than once a week, to actually visit instead of making excuses, to build relationships instead of waiting for them to magically appear. She'd tell me to find something that matters, to volunteer somewhere that needs me, to take a class or join a club or do something, anything, besides sitting in this house waiting for time to pass. She'd tell me that I'm wasting the gift of time, that plenty of people don't get to retire, don't get these years, don't get to wake up without an alarm and choose how to spend their days. She'd tell me to stop waiting for life to happen and go make it happen. And she'd be right. She'd be absolutely right. So I got up, made coffee, stood on the back porch, watched the sun come up over the neighbor's fence, and I made a decision. Not a huge one, not life-changing, just small, just something. I'm going to call David today, not on Sunday, today, Saturday. I'm going to call him and tell him I'm coming to visit next weekend. I'm going to show up and be present and spend time with my grandchildren, even if it means being in the way. I'm going to go back to that school, sign up to volunteer again. Because maybe Marcus forgot about me. but there's probably another kid who needs help. Another kid who could use an hour twice a week with someone who cares. I'm going to find that notebook, the one with Helen's retirement dreams, and I'm going to read it, really read it. And I'm going to pick one thing from that list and do it. Maybe not the way we planned, maybe alone, but I'm going to do it. For her, for us, for the life we didn't get to live together. And I'm going to stop waiting. That's the thing I've realized. I've spent my entire life waiting for the weekend, waiting for vacation, waiting for the next promotion, waiting for retirement, always waiting for the next thing instead of living in this thing. And now I'm retired, and I'm still waiting. Waiting for what? For life to get better? For purpose to magically appear? For someone to hand me fulfillment on a silver platter? It doesn't work like that. Helen knew that. She always knew that. Life is now. Not someday. Not eventually. Not when circumstances are perfect. Now. This morning with the coffee, and the sunrise and the bird-shaped water stain on the ceiling. This day, these hours, this moment. I'm 75 years old. If I'm lucky, I have another 10, maybe 15 years. That's not a lot of time, but it's enough. Enough to stop waiting. Enough to start living. Enough to find meaning in the ordinary moments instead of always chasing some future version of happiness that never quite arrives. The alarm doesn't go off anymore. And that's okay. I don't need an alarm to tell me it's time to start living. I just need to open my eyes, put my feet on the floor, and choose to show up for whatever this day holds. Not the life I planned, not the retirement I imagined, but my life, my time, my choice. And maybe, just maybe, that's what freedom actually is. Not the absence of obligation, but the presence of choice. The choice to find purpose, to build connection, to create meaning. The choice to stop waiting and start living. Long pause. It's Saturday morning. The sun is up. The coffee's ready. The phone is in my hand. Time to call my son. Time to start. If you stayed until the end, please drop a like and a subscribe. Thanks and God bless.